Okay, so let's talk about ESG. Environmental, social, and governance. It's pretty much the new gold standard for how we measure a company's success, right? But here's the thing. Behind all that ambition, there's this massive hidden challenge that's tripping up even the biggest players. So let's dig into what's really going on.
It all really boils down to this one simple question. If everyone agrees that ESG is critical, why is it so incredibly difficult to get right? And the answer, you'll see, has nothing to do with good intentions. It has everything to do with information.
And wow, this image, this really nails the problem, doesn't it? What you're looking at isn't just some complex chart. It's the reality of ESG data chaos. It's this absolute fire hose of messy, unstructured, real-time data coming from literally every corner of the globe. There is no way any team of humans can keep up with that. It's just impossible.
And that right there, that brings us to the very heart of the problem, what we're calling the ESG data dilemma.
I mean, just think for a second about what we're actually talking about here. This isn't just some neat spreadsheet with your CO2 emissions. We're talking about live sensor data streaming from your factory floor, labor records from a supplier thousands of miles away, constantly shifting global laws, and that nonstop flood of news and social media that can make or break your reputation in a heartbeat. So, what's the result of all this?
Well, the old way of doing things, scrambling to pull together an annual report, is officially broken. The sheer speed and scale of this data means that any purely human approach is always playing catch-up. You're always reactive, always a step behind.
But what if you can make sense of all that chaos instantly? This is where a truly powerful new tool enters the story. Artificial intelligence.
This visual here, it's the perfect way to think about it. AI isn't just another piece of software. You got to think of it as the central nervous system, the brain of the operation. It takes in all those tangled, messy, disconnected data streams and just starts making sense of it all at the same time. So how does it actually pull this off? Well, you can break it down into 3 simple steps. First, the AI pulls in and integrates everything. We're talking reports, news articles, sensor data, you name it. Then, it starts doing the magic that frankly no human team ever could. It spots the hidden patterns, the connections, the risks, like flagging a problem in your supply chain before it becomes a crisis. And finally, and this is key, it translates all that mind-boggling complexity into simple, clear insights that you can actually act on. Look, this isn't just a minor tweak. We're talking about a total paradigm shift. It's about moving from being constantly reactive to powerfully proactive. Let's look at a few killer examples.
Let's start with real-time monitoring. The before world? You'd get some report, maybe once a year, telling you about a problem that happened, 6 months ago. Way too late. In the afterworld with AI, you get an alert on your dashboard from live sensor data the second something goes wrong. You can act now, not next quarter.
And you can just feel that change in this image, right? On one side, you got the stressed out manager drowning in stacks of old paper. On the other, a leader who's calm, confident, and making decisions based on live information. That's not just better management, it's a complete game changer. All right, next big one, tracking that carbon footprint. Now, the biggest headache for companies is something called Scope 3 emissions. This is the really tricky stuff. It's not just your factories, it's the emissions from your suppliers, your shipping, the whole shebang. It's always been a total black box. Well, with AI, that box gets blown wide open, giving you a clear, precise estimate across your entire value chain.
So how in the world does it do this? Well, it digs into everything, logistics data, transport routes, your partner's energy consumption, and turns that confusing global mess into a clean, accurate, and most importantly, verifiable number. The impossible task suddenly becomes possible.
And what about compliance? This is a huge one. Regulations are changing all the time, all over the world. The old way of having your legal team read every single update is not only painfully slow, it's super risky. AI just automates the whole process. It scans new laws, pulls out exactly what you need to know, and can even help draft the reports to keep you compliant.
Think about it. Those mountains of dense legal paperwork. They go from being this huge, scary risk to something that's managed automatically, in real time. Generative AI makes sure you're not just playing catch-up, you're actually staying ahead of the curve.
So, all this real-time power is great for dodging problems, for sure. But it builds something even more important, something that might be the most valuable asset any company can have today:
trust. And that's because, let's be honest, we live in a show me, don't tell me world. Vague promises about being sustainable just don't cut it anymore, especially not with one very important audience, your investors.
This is a huge power shift, you know? Investors today are demanding hard evidence. They will not accept an ESG claim that isn't backed up by cold, hard data. AI is the engine that provides that objective, verifiable proof that turns a company's promises into credible, bankable facts.
And when you can provide that proof, the payoff is huge. You earn that investor trust, which in turn can actually lower your cost of capital. You can prove your performance with real numbers, not just nice words. And let me tell you, in today's market, that kind of transparency is a massive competitive advantage.
So what's the bottom line here? Where does all of this ultimately lead us?
Well, the big takeaway is pretty simple, actually. ESG is now fundamentally a real-time data problem. And in a world that runs on real-time data, AI is no longer a nice-to-have. It's not an option. It has become an absolutely essential tool for survival and ultimately for success.
So I'll leave you with this one last thought, a question for every leader out there to really think about. In this new age of data, with everything we've just talked about, is your sustainability strategy truly built to survive what's coming next?